In this video, I want to talk about sorting data. In particular, a lot of times we get data that is a little bit hard to understand and interpret, so sorting helps us organize the data set in a way that we can actually make a little bit more sense out of it. So let's go ahead and start talking about the learning activity. The scenario in this learning activity is that we have a data set that lists books by a publisher in various math and science disciplines, and we want to organize the data set so it's a little bit easier to select perhaps an appropriate book for a course or something like that. The objective here is to sort the data so that it is more easily discernible. So in other words, an easier way to make a decision and sort of make the data clear. So let's go ahead and begin by opening up the starting file. When we open up the starting file, we see actually several columns of information, starting with the ISBN, the author's name, the title of the book, the main discipline that it's categorized under, the target group, perhaps graduate students, undergraduate students, general reading, and so forth, various publishers from Springer, copyright year, and finally the price. So by default, this database is sorted by ISBN number. And let's suppose that we're trying to narrow down some books to identify for one of the primary disciplines in this data set. We have math, statistics, computer science, economics, and so forth. So anyway, what we need to do is sort this data. And really, this is a topic that is really left up to the user. The way I might find it easily discernible is perhaps different than what you think is easily discernible, but I want to show the different techniques that we can use while actually sorting. So, for example, if we wanted to sort this entire data set on the main discipline, you might be tempted to select the entire column of information of the discipline. Well, if you do this and you only highlight this section, and let's say we go to data and this button here, sort A to Z in an ascending fashion, or likewise Z to A, which is descending, what this is actually going to do is just sort this column, and it would disassociate the link between the discipline and all the other information. So we actually don't want to do that. We wouldn't want to sort just one column. We actually want to sort the entire data set. So I wanted to show you that that could be a potential pitfall. So when we do sort, we usually want to grab the entire range of data. So I'm just going to use my mouse to select the entire range. And you might notice one thing is that once we make a selection like this, we're losing a lot of the header information. Let me show you a technique that I use often because it's actually nice when dealing with larger data sets. I'm going to scroll all the way to the top. And if we click on A2, there's a technique called freezing. And what I like to do is freeze the pane. And what this is actually going to do, it's going to freeze the location of this spreadsheet based on where your focus is. Here it's A2. So if I was to freeze the pane here, what we've actually done is freeze the display of that first column row, or first row of data, I should say, the information. As we scroll, that is always displayed even if we go to the bottom. If you want to ever take the freezing off, we can go to Freeze Panel, Unfreeze. Perhaps we want to freeze this in a different location. We could select B2, go to Freeze Panes, and now what you see is not only do we have the header row, but we also, if we scroll right, we have frozen the ISBN number, so that could be useful as well. I think the best way to do this is freeze it where the top header is stationary. So I'm going to unfreeze what we have done, go back after I select A2, and there is actually an option here, freeze top row by default, because this is a really commonly used function here. So I'm just going to hit this, and it's going to do exactly the same as the other technique I showed you. Okay, with that being said, Let's select the entire data set all the way across the top, all the way down to the bottom. Looks like we have a couple hundred, 227 rows of information. If we'd like to sort this data, we can go to the Sort button here. This gives you the entire option when it comes to sorting. We had Add Levels. I should mention that we can actually sort this data set in multiple orders. So maybe the first thing we're going to do is sort by main discipline. Then later, maybe the target group. And then even further from that, perhaps a selling price or something like that. We'll do this one step at a time. We have controls to delete layers if we add them, or even copy layers, and some other options. One of the things to note here is that you selected the headers. And what I'm referring to is the very first row of information is what we would call the header row, the labels of the columns, if you will. So if that is selected, you will see all of the header rows here in the Sort By drop-down field. Okay, so what I'm going to do is select Primary Discipline as my first level, and I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. But I should describe this first. Sort on the values, of course. We can sort by values, cell color, even font color or icon sets. Cell color, font color, and icon sets usually comes into play when we apply some conditional formatting. But right now I'm just going to sort on values, and I'm going to leave it in the ascending order. If you wanted to change that, you could simply change it to a descending or create your own list. But of the two, ascending is probably the most commonly utilized. So let's go ahead and hit OK. What we see now is that our data set has rearranged the entire data set where the main discipline, computer science, appears first, followed by economics second, followed by mathematics, and then finally all the way down to the bottom, statistics. So that's in alphabetical order, and like I said earlier, it rearranged everything in the data set so everything is maintained. For example, all the ISBN information for this particular cell I'm highlighting is correct in terms of all the information provided. Okay, so now if we wanted to sort based on another level, what we could do is simply highlight the entire data range. You can actually use a shortcut key if you'd want to. You can either highlight the entire worksheet by hitting this button, or what you can actually do is while you're inside a range like this, hit Control A just once. If you hit Control A another time, it'll select the entire data sheet. So I'm going to select the entire range, go back to sort, and I'm going to add a level here. And again, I'm just trying to make this easily discernible, which means I have things logically ordered in a way that I can make perhaps a decision. The next category I think makes sense to sort by is the target group. Okay, so now if we look at our data, we have the main discipline, computer science in this case, and then all of the graduate groups listed here, followed by the computer science with lower undergraduate, computer science with professional, computer science with research, computer science with upper undergraduate. So now we have actually sorted based on two conditions. First, it will sort by the main discipline. Then second, we will sort by the target group. If, for example, you wanted to switch the order, we can always go back after selecting the data to sort, and we can simply use these arrow keys to rearrange the order. So let's go ahead and actually move target up one. So now it's going to flip-flop this order, and I'm going to go ahead and hit sort. So now, regardless of the main discipline, the first criteria is that it is going to first sort by target group. So out of the entire data set, it looks like we have 6 lower undergraduate books listed, and most of them are in mathematics, but one is in computer science. So I think the other way makes a little bit more sense for what I want to achieve in this example. So I'm going to select the data again, sort, and flip-flop these again. So I'm going to select the first one, and this time I'm going to hit the down arrow and go ahead and hit OK. We could have added some more steps. So let's go back to sort. I want to add another level. We can see that based on where I was pointing at before, it's adding this to the middle. So actually I want to move this down one, so the order of sort will be main discipline, target group, and then perhaps we want to sort based on a numeric value. And we do have a numeric value here in the price in US dollars. So again, we want to sort on values, and here it knows that the values in this range are numeric, so it's going to, rather than say A to Z because this is text, it's going to say smallest to largest. And we do have largest to smallest there. So let's go ahead and hit OK. Now the data set is sorted once again. I'm going to go ahead and scroll up a little bit and just kind of show you what this is doing. We have all our computer sciences books with the graduate, and within these categories here that I'm highlighting, these are all sorted in ascending fashion. So the cheapest book would be $69.95 and the most expensive would be $99. In the next group we have computer science here with a lower undergraduate, and then we have the prices here. So depending on your function of sorting this, depending on your application, certainly we can sort this a variety of ways. We can incorporate multiple sorts at one time. Maybe there's a situation where you sort this data based on the main, target, and price, and then you want to come back later and change it. We can simply go back to sort and either delete some of these. Perhaps we want to delete the target, so we can delete the target there and sort again. So there's a lot of power there in the sort and a few options. To get this data set back to the original form, we can simply remove the second condition, delete level, and sort by ISBN number. So this will get us back to the original starting point. But to get into a point that it is sorted, I want to add the first layer being main. I want to then sort by target, and then finally I want to sort by price. So then I can browse the list of potential books. Let's look for a statistics book and pick out a group here that is actually graduate level, and then based on price, maybe I'm very conscious of the price of the books to my students, I would review this book first to see if it's relevant and go down through the list here. Okay, let's move on to the second tab, and I just want to show you briefly that you can in fact sort by colors. Again, this is usually when you have conditional formatting applied. If you do go to D2 and go to the conditional formatting and manage rules, you can see I've got a few rules here just based on the text value and changing the color of the fill. So anyway, I'm going to freeze the top header row by going to View, Freeze, Top Row, just like before, and then I'm going to actually go to Data, Sort, and what I actually did there was very subtle. If you notice, I was just clicking one cell here, and if I click Sort, it is smart enough to guess that this is one connected set of data in a range, so it does know we want the whole entire thing. But most likely you're developing spreadsheets with many different things, information in it, so it's always a good idea to make sure you're highlighting the data that you actually want to sort. So for example here, let's sort by color. Let's change this to main discipline. I can choose whether I want to sort by values or cell color. I want to sort by cell color. And let's say here, I believe statistics are orange. Yeah, it does appear that. Let's say I want all the statistics books first. Maybe I want to copy this level and then sort by mathematics, copy a level, sort by economics, and then let's say finally sort by the last category, which is yellow. So this is the order exactly how this information will be sorted: orange, blue, green, yellow. So we have all of our orange, then blue, then green and yellow. And certainly there's other things that we can do. Like the previous example, we could sort and perhaps add a level, and underneath these levels add the target group and then the price. So there's kind of a bunch of things you can do if you want to get your data in a little bit easier fashion to interpret.